Hey, how's it going everybody? It's Suko, and today we are actually covering the Megahobby Expo 2023 events. Now, if you didn't know that this was happening, I don't really blame you. Feels like there's a new event every single month at this point, and it's kind of hard to keep up with all of them. But this one is pretty dang good. Now, if we scroll down to the exhibitors, we can see a couple of the companies that are featured at this event, but for the most part, we're going to be focusing on Megahouse, Alter, and Kotobukiya, the trifecta here, just because they brought so many figures here. We'll talk about these other companies for sure, but these three are the main focus of this video. Now, unfortunately, as nice as this website might look, there isn't actually a gallery. There's no figures to be shown off at all here. So instead, I'm going to be using Twitter as well as like the AmiAmi News website. I'm going to try and do my best to keep things organized, but I apologize if things go off the rails. Figures are just like all over the place this time around, and it's a bit messy. But regardless, whatever the case, let's just begin. Alright, so starting us off is Kotobukiya with the Emma Milstein figure. Now, we've seen this one in the past, but it's now finally painted, and it looks just as good as every other Kiseki figure so far that Kotobukiya has made. I especially love the way they painted the staff. It's so eye-catching, that silver and gold. But I gotta say, as nice as this figure may look, as cute as her face may be, it's really tall, right? And you gotta make sure you can actually display this on your shelves, in your detolfs. Make sure you get those measurements down before you pre-order this one, because that would suck if you didn't have anywhere to actually put her. Though I could understand if you just collect all the figures from the series that you wouldn't want to miss out. I also see a lot of people complaining about glasses in the comments, so maybe that'll be your bonus faceplate. Not sure. Haven't played this series yet. One day I will. But looks quite nice. Next up, though, is Dolahim from Tales of Arise. And I don't know if anybody would agree with me on this, but doesn't this figure just look like way better than most Kotobukiya scales in terms of the paint job? I don't mean that Kotobukiya figures don't look good. I just think this looks like 10 times better for whatever reason. The shading is so nice and the colors are so bold. The entire presentation is just sublime. I'm pretty impressed. I think this is one of the best figures they showed off today. Following him, though, is the Idolmaster Cinderella Girls Fumika Sakisawa in her casual wear. This is a very comfy looking figure in contrast with most Idolmaster girl figures, which typically are a little bit more exciting, eccentric, loud, right? But I like it. I think this outfit does look very pretty, specifically the sweater part of her outfit. I just love that type of sweater. But yeah, you know what? I have no doubts that the outfit will look good. But I am curious about the base itself. This might sound stupid, but the type of wood and the color of the wood of the desk and the floor and the chair, it's going to be important when that's like a major part of the figure. Tons of books surrounding her too, a little plant back there just to set the at-home vibes, right? I think it has potential, but it's certainly not super exciting, I guess. We also got a prototype for Hyakumen Tambara Salome from Niji Sanji. And while this is a simple looking figure, I also think it looks perfect for what it is. They're really leaning into her like personality, the Ojo-sama side of things, right? She's doing the laugh, her drill hair looks super well sculpted, and I think the only way to really improve this would be if she came with a second faceplate where like maybe both of her eyes were closed or maybe one of them, where she's like really leaning into that laugh, right? But other than that, super good. I actually like this quite a bit because I know what she's going to look like painted, and I really like her character design, so thumbs up. Kana from Oshinoko, fully painted, not technically a new announcement, but if you haven't seen it before, there you go. Honestly, this should only cost like 13 to 14,000 yen. I would be a little upset if she was more than that because this is a very simple looking figure, but a nice one. The colors are super bold, the pose is very cute, the eyes are very sparkly, and I like the pink highlights in her hair. I think the only thing I would complain about is maybe the expression. I feel like she could be a bit more expressive with this figure, but that's probably like a bonus faceplate situation that we're dealing with. So we'll see in the future when this goes up for pre-order, but a nice and sweet one. The next announcement, though, pretty dang exciting. We're getting the protagonist from Persona 3 Reload. Now, this is specifically the remake because he had a little bit of a design change, and you could see it in this figure. They took away the armband, he has a shoulder pad now, and I think he's wearing gloves. You know, maybe there's some other differences, but it's not too big of a deal either way. This still looks like the pro tag. I think his name is Minato, correct me if I'm wrong. But I love that this is happening. I love Persona 3. This base looks super sick too. I think that's like shattered glass, just kind of like being raised up a little bit. maybe like floating in the air, right? But either way, I think the most exciting thing about this is that we might get additional characters now, because there really aren't many Persona 3 figures out there. So I love that Kotobukiya is jumping on this license. Maybe others will as well, but right now, I'm liking what I'm seeing. I gotta say, I was not expecting Shinigami from Raincoat to be getting a scale figure this soon. I kind of assumed it would take a little bit longer considering the game just came out. But Kotobukiya is making one, and it's a nice sculpt so far. I especially like the pose, how she's floating in the air. Makes her feel a little otherworldly, right? But more importantly, I like that her giant ribbon is kind of in the fronts of the figure, right? And considering it has a lot of like gems or glitter or whatever these are supposed to be, little stars, right? I think those are going to look much nicer in the front rather than the back. So it's kind of like a smart use of her outfit to place it in front of the figure, right? I expect this to do great, though I think more people need to play this game before this gets painted so that the sales are better. Next up is just a couple of illustrations for Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. You got Juliana and Florian with their starter Pokemon. These always deliver. They look exactly like the prototypes, so whenever we get to see those prototypes, if you like the designs, you're in good hands. Transformers Starscream Bishoujo statue is finally painted. I love the paint job, but I think I'm the only person who doesn't really like the face on this figure. It might just be the angle that we're looking at. It's kind of like a down-up kind of view, right? But when I look at the illustration, I don't know, I think it's the shadows being cast from the hair and like her nose that are just making me not like her face as much. I do love the expression on this figure, but it doesn't look as appealing as I initially thought it would, but this line's not for me. So you could just ignore my opinion if you want, doesn't really matter. Bridget with Return of the Killing Machine. Now, we really don't need more Bridget figures at this point, we really don't. But this is definitely one of her best figures so far. And I find it kind of funny that Kotobukiya is the one to do that, to go above and beyond with this character. Just wouldn't have expected that, right? But this is essentially one of her supers, one of her overdrives, I think they're called, where you send off Roger in this like flame wheel of doom. He's on the motorcycle, he's got the sunglasses on. Very cute stuff. And they kind of replicated that perfectly. You even get the speech bubble. I think this is supposed to say like go as she's signaling him off, right? So you get that. There's also like smoke clouds coming out of the exhaust pipes on the motorcycle. The pose is good on Bridget too. Pretty involved, all things considered. And if we're going to continually get Bridget figures instead of any other characters, at least this one's a fun one, and it's seemingly going to be one of her best. Hopefully it doesn't cost too much money, but I could forgive them if it was like a little bit over like 20 to 24,000 or so, just because there's a bit more here than typical. Delta from the Eminence in Shadow is going to be getting a scale figure. I doubt this is what the figure is going to look like, this feet-focused image, but I mean, it could be. This is a very specific piece to use, considering the outfit as well as like just overalls with nothing under them. So, okay, you get that. There's also a Vermilio from Helk. She is also going to be getting a scale figure in the future, so look forward to that. They're trying to be real sneaky about it, but we're getting a new character in the SNK Bishoujo series, a fan favorite, Angel. I believe that's how you pronounce it, not Angel. That's what I've learned from my friends, at least. Excellent pick, though let me know when Sylvie Paula Paula gets a figure, and I'll be there. Yuzuriha from Hell's Paradise got her paint, looking more and more like Sheena every day to me. She looks great. The colors came along nicely here. I must have forgot about this one, but Mei Hatsume from My Hero is getting a scale figure, and she already has a prototype. This is pretty much the only pose I could think of for her, so I'm not really surprised that they went with it. I do appreciate, though, that they threw in some like assorted bolts and the hammer on the base, just for that extra touch. I believe Mount Lady is also getting a scale figure, though maybe we talked about that before. I just really can't recall, so I'm telling you now. And then finally, but not actually, but finally on their page is the Dark Deku figure fully painted. Full disclosure, I haven't watched this show since like Season 5, I think, whichever one that Eri is prominently in when she's first introduced. So I don't exactly know the situation here, but the edgy grittiness of this sculpt is really easy to appreciate. I really like how they just threw him in the air and used these purple smoke clouds to support him. Though I'm wondering if this specific color has any significance, because that's definitely a different choice for like smoke clouds. It definitely works, I'm just curious. There's also this combination of like gross dark green electricity mixed in with the more traditional light blue, with most of the green being pushed away from his body so it doesn't blend in as much with the rest of the colors. It kind of has everything you'd want in a shonen figure, right? The dynamism, the special effects, the battle damage, it's good stuff. But like I said, we're not done yet. There's a few more Kotobukiya scales to go through, such as Satano Diamond, now fully painted. Kita-san Black is here as well, though she's already up for pre-order. I think she costs around 20,000 yen, so I'm going to assume that Satano Diamond also costs about that much. I think she's very cute. Love the colors on her, very frilly. Not a big fan of either of these bases, just like the template for Uma Musume here from Kotobukiya. Not my favorite, but what can you do? For some reason, Kotobukiya's English page just failed to mention that Fushiguro Toji is also in the works. Great pose and expression for the affordable JJK line, even coming with the gross baby worm buddy, but man, that mini arc from season 2 was so good that I kind of want to see something more ambitious for him. Oh, and there was also a couple of extra Idol Master Girl figures on display. I'll put their names on screen if you'd like to look up more information on them, but that should do it for new announcements from Kotobukiya. Kadokawa showed up with a few figures, but their one true new update was their painted prototype for their new Chevy scale. And it looks way better than I ever could have imagined. Like, yeah, it's gonna be a shelf hog, and this is easily going to cost over 50,000 yen, but damn if this isn't impressive. I think what really caught me off guard is all the metallic paint they used for the plugs and the wires connecting to her body, while the machine itself is like entirely glossy. I just wasn't expecting that approach, but it's kind of ace. Needless to say, all the mechanical parts of her body and the weapons also using metallic paint to contrast her matte skin just makes the colors pop that much more, right? I'm still not even sure if Kadokawa can pull off something like this, but it absolutely deserves attention at the very least. QSQ is in a similar situation where they brought a lot of nice figures I absolutely love, but we saw all of these and talked about them last time at Wonfes, so there's no real need to go over it again. I will say that AmiAmi's news website has some really like crisp, high quality images. If you want to check out this gallery for yourself, I'll link it in the description. But the one new update we got this time was in the form of the Bad Bunny PVC scale. Busty would certainly be an understatement. I do like how the flaps are starting to lean forward though. It kind of implies like slippage, wardrobe malfunction, but I would be very surprised if a QSQ scale had nudity. I don't think they do that. Just like with Asuna from Blue Archive that I recently opened up, I like their approach with the bunny suit looking a little bit more realistic, and I gotta say, the boots and the jacket on her look absolutely sick. I believe she's also smoking too, but I guess I can't say for sure. That's certainly what it looks like though. I don't think I'm appreciating the hips enough here, but we gotta save something to talk about for next time, so let's move on. Before we jump into Megahouse, let's tackle Amakuni really quickly. From Uzaki-chan, we're getting two figures of both her mom and her sister in like succubus demon outfits, but not of Hana, or at least I don't think so. I feel like this has literally happened before with a different company, maybe those cow print bikini figures, but at some point you gotta feel bad for the girl. I don't know why that keeps happening. Persona 5 had a few new updates. Now, we've seen this on figure before, but these are some great shots of it. So if you're looking for a figure of her in her like normal attire, this could be a great choice. Makoto, on the other hand, is now fully painted and looks great, honestly. I can't speak for everybody, but this is probably the best face sculpt I've seen on a Makoto figure so far. Futaba making an appearance pretty much guarantees that we'll be getting a re-release in the future, but we're also getting a figure of the Necronomicon. And I'm just going to admit, I have absolutely no idea what this is, but believe it or not, I actually just started playing Persona 5 this week. I know, extremely late, but what this means is that not only will I learn what this thing is, but I'm pretty sure I'm going to want some figures from the series by the time I'm done. I kinda have a good idea of which ones they'll be though. Next up were two figures from Phantasy Star Online 2, one for Jean and one for Annette, both swimsuit figures. I do wish I had the art that these two were based off of in front of me, but I'm definitely liking the design of their swimsuits. They're kind of like sailor uniform inspired maybe. I definitely like their little berets regardless. Jean always has serious underboob though on so many of her figures, maybe just because she gets a lot of swimsuit figures, but I don't even know how this outfit is working with that bust, but I guess that's the fantasy part about all this. Yukino from Oregairu now has a prototype, and I have no doubt in my mind that this will look near perfect when it's done, but I was really disappointed at how expensive their last figure from this series was. I don't think there's ever an excuse for a simple school uniform figure to cost that much money, like 16,000, 17,000 yen tops, but that's just me. Either way, that's going to do it for the Amakuni updates. Let's jump over to Megahouse now. Alright, so there's a lot of stuff here, it's kind of all over the place, so let's start with these melty princess figures. I'm pretty sure this is part of like the palm size line, though it might also just be like embarrassed characters, I can't say for sure yet. But here's the prototype for Roxy from Mushoku Tensei, but they're also making some for Raphtalia as a kid, and then there's one for Mihari-chan from Onimai. I'm pretty sure there's another character from Onimai who already has a figure in this line, but I guess I'd have to double check that. Gundam, of course, gets a ton of figures from Megahouse, and this event was no exception. Palm-size figures really seems to be a huge interest for the company, as we're getting 7 more from the Witch of Mercury series. Yes, 7. Personally, these types of figures are too small for my liking, but at around 60 bucks, you could definitely do worse. Also, I'm pretty sure a lot of these characters just won't be getting proper scales, like, at any point, so that's another positive of this line, if you think of it that way. If you ever wanted Char majestically riding a horse as a figure, you're in luck because it's currently in production. This looks fucking good, but we probably didn't need another figure of Char at this point. There's a lot of them. This is likely gonna melt your wallet too. Like, those horse veins, they're not gonna come cheap. You know, I think I would be down to just have this design as like a painting on my wall instead. It certainly would be cheaper, and it wouldn't have a giant rod running through the horse to keep it up. Considering how expensive this is going to be, I don't want anything hurting the visual appeal. Still love it conceptually though. Suletta will be getting a Gundam Girls' Generation figure, and as you can see, fully painted and likely going up for pre-order pretty soon. Considering she has her hand out like this, I want to imagine there's like some potential pairing with the Miorine figure that's also in production, but since she's looking forward, I kind of have my doubt that it's going to be a committed attempt, which is a shame. Hopefully I'm wrong though. Now, I believe these next two are repaints, but even if they're just re-releases, both Zabi and Master Asia will be going up for pre-order in the near future as well. And this actually makes me pretty happy, specifically with Master Asia. I'm not even trying to buy this for myself, but I have been looking so long for the original figure on the aftermarket for like a gift for somebody else, and this dude just never shows up. I don't even think he's that expensive, I just can't find him for the life of me, so thank God I don't have to worry about the hunt anymore. I was kind of starting to lose hope. Megahouse is getting into Blue Archive. Now that's a bit of a shocker, starting off with Asuna 2. Seems like they're going with the maid uniform, which I think is the right choice considering we already have 2 bunny figures of her on the market right now. But while I do like this art, I just feel like there's no way it lives up to the Max Factory figure. I'm very biased, but I just can't see that happening. I am happy to see that this is a thing though. Hinata is getting a version 4 figure. I didn't even know it went that high. Now personally, based on this sculpt, I don't really understand why this is being made, and what I mean by that is that version 3 is the definitive Hinata figure. It looks fucking amazing, and I struggle to think of what this one brings to the table. In a bubble, yeah, it looks great, and with some tweaks to her face or something, they could probably make her look even prettier, but the effect blast here just does not hold a candle to the previous figures, and it's also completely in front of her, so unless those effects look stellar enough to carry the entire figure, I kinda just wish they made a different character altogether. If you're a huge fan of Hinata, then just ignore my take. I totally understand the desire to buy more than one figure for a character, especially of this caliber, but for me, this just doesn't really feel like a step up from the last figure they've made. Tsunade, on the other hand, is getting an amazing figure, maybe her best one so far. I wish I could remember the name of the slug, but its inclusion really makes this figure feel definitive for her. Actually, I guess that's kind of the whole point of this figure, right? Tsunade is summoning the slug, the ground underneath is like breaking apart, the air is filling with like a bunch of goo and little action stars. It's a neat setup, especially with her hair and robe flowing upward super harshly, right? It's kind of easy to forget that Megahouse makes Beastar figures from time to time unless you like actually are picking them up, but tucked away at this event was Pina, fully painted. Usually these are fairly affordable, so no worries if you're interested in picking them up. You should be able to get him for like 10 to 12,000 yen. They're usually very affordable. Izanagi from Persona 4 is getting a version 2 figure. Now, it's important to note that a lot of their games characters collection line do get re-released with like touch-ups and stuff, but seemingly Izanagi is getting an entirely new figure. He definitely needed it the most compared to all the others though, as that old Izanagi figure is very static and lifeless in my opinion, but this one is so much more impactful. He actually already has a price tag of about 28,000 yen though, so yeah, not a cheap figure at all by any means, but it's Megahouse, what can you do? One Piece, as far as I could tell, only really had 2 notable updates, one of them being their new Uta figure from the Portraits of Pirates Re Maximum line. So like color-wise, this is absolutely stunning. But design-wise, not really a fan personally, but hey, if you are, then Megahouse kinda knocked it out of the park here. No one can really argue that they don't bring their A game to their big One Piece figures, right? Perhaps I'd be singing a different tune if I actually saw the movie though. That's usually how things work. I gotta say though, I love how the base looks on this figure. It's so seamless and also very colorful, right? You have these little musical notes bouncing down the rainbow staff, and it doesn't even look like she's really supported by it that much. These must be like really sturdy to hold up this like very hefty, bulky figure. Pretty impressive. The other One Piece announcement was the Portraits of Pirates Maximum Luffy and Ace figure that is currently in the works. I'm sure we'll see this soon enough if we haven't already, but yeah, this is based straight off of the artwork from volume 59 of the manga, and it's a super sick idea. Like it a lot. But as a figure collector, sometimes you gotta make the choice to avoid collecting certain series, you know what I mean? Like, it's really hard to only buy one One Piece figure because there are so many characters. It's just, you can't do it. You're gonna buy more, right? So I never committed to buying any of them, but this one is kind of tempting me. The only other time I felt that way was actually pretty recently after Gear 5 happened. I kind of want something for Gear 5, but I don't know, man. It's just such a dangerous slippery slope because there's like limitless characters. They make pretty much everybody into a scale figure. So we'll see. We'll definitely see. Considering this is Megahouse though, and there's 2 characters, likely easily 40,000 yen plus, so I don't know. Other than that, we had a bunch of Lookup series figures, some for Idolmaster. Bocchi the Rock is getting some, you'll love to see it. More palm-sized figures, this time for My Hero Academia. And then there was like a whole slew of Yu-Gi-Oh! Monsters Chronicle figures announced. Like, they're really committing to this line. And I should probably pick up some of these, but, you know, money and whatnot. Too many things to purchase, right? You know how it is. Valkyrion the Magna Warrior is really tempting, though. Over at AmiAmi's booth, we had one update. They finally painted their swimsuit formidable figure. And I've been fairly positive on this sculpt so far, but I'm not really loving the way they painted her. You know, outside of the gradient on the feathers, her hair looks a bit flat, and the rocks have like a soft appearance to them. I just don't think there's enough detail in either of those areas. Also, maybe it's just me, but her forehead just looks gigantic. I don't know, something about that shape looks completely wrong to me. Also, I kind of wish they committed to the animals that were in the original illustration, at least a few of them. I feel like that would have really rounded out the sculpt, or at least made it a little bit more interesting. Aniplex was a little hard to keep track of. They're always putting out new figures, but I just can't recall which ones I've talked about in the past or not. But I know for sure that this Rise of figure is brand new. Now, I'm not particularly like familiar with this specific outfit that she's wearing, but it looks nice so far. It's a cute swimsuit and like sweatshirt combo, right? It looks like they're definitely checking off the boxes too with the thickness and whatnot, making her face very cute, and they even made her stomach a bit toned. I'm certainly interested to learn more at the very least. Alice Glint presented us with their new Noshiro figure from Azure Lane. This is the Hold the Ice version, so essentially she's working in a cafe in a cute maid outfit. I don't know if she's actually an Oni girl, but I'm absolutely weak to this combination, so consider me interested. Here's Present Kineko from My Cat is a Kawaii Girl. Now, we definitely knew more of these were coming, I think from the last event in fact, but who the hell knew so soon, right? Now, all of these figures are definitely very cute, but I kind of wish she was wearing a different color. I'm not really the biggest fan of the gray, but it definitely fits with the box's colors, so I guess it's fine. That last figure was Golden Head, by the way. I think I failed to mention that, and so is this one, in fact. So last up for Golden Head is a figure of Kurumi from Kantoku. Pretty well-known artist, I have to imagine, or at the very least, I've known of him for a while now. The plaid skirts are always a giveaway in his character designs, but I'm sorta not seeing his cutesy art style in this figure. I'm gonna guess it's just the expression, right? If it wasn't for the outfit and the hair color, I might have just thought that this was like a different artist altogether, right? But we could definitely use more figures in his style. So I'm not knocking this, but I guess I'm not loving it because it's not reminding me of his art. Broccoli only had one update. They just showed off their Mikan figure where she's crawling around, and it looks kind of meh if you ask me. The Corn Mikan figure definitely clears. Alright, I think that's it though. Let's finally talk about Alter. They came with the most announcements, so as we do, save the best for last. Now, they did have a ton of reveals with no prototypes, and I figured we could just do those first, so let's start it off with Azure Lane. Glorious Pungent Plume version, at the very least, has a 3D render to kind of give you an idea of what to look forward to. Really doesn't leave that much to the imagination though, but you gotta love those dimples. Musashi, the art might be a little rough on this one, but her kimono looks absolutely massive, so I'm expecting a pretty grand figure with this one. Indomitable, for a second, I thought this was that Granblue character. I think her name is Danua, just cause of the horns and the black hair, but very pretty artwork, and I definitely trust them to get the delicate details right, if this is what the figure is going to look like. Implacable, I suppose, is like a sexy nun of some kind, but I don't really have too much to say about this one. Next up is Ager, Iron Blood Dragon Maid version. She's very attractive. I like this character design a lot. But what is she implying with those fingers? Very interesting. Definitely want to see how this one turns out, especially if you get the couch with her hair draping over it and whatnot. Could be a very nice looking scale. New Jersey is getting an Alter figure. This is going to be absolutely massive. Like, what New Jersey scale hasn't been gigantic so far? And this is like with all the ship parts on her massive coat, right? Like, I don't know. I'm just gonna look forward to Ken's coverage on this figure because this is gonna be way too expensive and come out in like 2026. But I guess if I were to buy any New Jersey figure though, this would probably be the one. I love this design, just way too much for me. Fate had so many figures at this event from Alter, but before we get to any of the prototypes, Berserker Morgan, Final Ascension, is getting a scale figure, Moon Cancer Archetype Earth, Final Ascension, is getting a figure, as well as Berserker Sei Shonagon. And it's funny, because now there's two companies making this exact Sei design into a figure, but neither have prototypes yet. Not gonna worry about Alter, but I definitely want to see Q's soon, because we've been waiting for a while now. Chisato and Takina are joining the Alter family, which is really no surprise, very popular characters, right? But a double character figure is a great idea for these two, and it's a nice choice of pose as well. Yudo Camp's Rin is getting a figure with her tricycle, is that what you call it? Not like a three-wheeler? Either way, kinda cool, but outside of the size, the scooter figure was absolutely perfect. My favorite figure of her, without a doubt. I really wish they would just re-release that one, because I'm not super thrilled about this announcement, but maybe that'll happen with this one on the horizon, who knows. Alter is getting into Blue Archive, just one figure though of Asuma Toki. Until this event, I kinda thought Blue Archive was just gonna stay a good small company thing, but nah, it's way too popular for that, right? Now, if you did miss it, another figure of Toki was announced from Max Factory. So with Alter, you're getting the maid outfit, right? But Max Factory announced a new bunny figure. Still upset at no Karn figure, I don't know why that's taken so long, but hey, if you like Toki, you have two really good options now. Alter is also seemingly getting into Nikkei at the exact same time as every other company. I don't know what's up with that, but I think Alter is gonna strike some gold here with some of their figures. We got Blanc and Noir bunny figures on the way, and this is seemingly a set, and I could just see these two topping the charts if this is the pose that they're going with. We're also getting Viper the Toxic Rabbit version. I can genuinely see myself buying this if the price is right. I just love the colors and her design overall. I'm just a guy who plays no gacha but is gonna have a shelf full of gacha girl bunny figures. Not a bad idea, if you ask me. I'm gonna add this to my wish list before I forget. Sunazuka Akira layered my edgy version. Okay, love this outfit, holy shit. But we don't really commit to Idolmaster figures these days, it's just not really worth it, but on a price drop, could be something I pick up. And lastly for the reveals, we've got the Arjuna Archer scale figure. 1/6 scale, mind you. He's gonna be pretty big. Alter's really liking Arjuna lately, which you'll see soon enough, but it's a completely different take, and I'm totally cool with that. There are a lots of nice Altair figures in the works at the moment, and that's great to see. Alright, so first up for the prototypes is Marin in her Liz cosplay, another 1/6 scale apparently. Now, I have no doubt that the quality of this figure will be excellent, but I keep thinking back to the Spirit Tail Liz figure, because I just like the design of it more, and I'm a little conflicted because it's like, is design more important than quality? Not to say that Spirit Tail won't have the quality, they're a good company, but Alter is just the better company. But without a doubt, I think Spirit Tails is legitimately better in terms of design. The expression, the pose, the base, it's all more impressive to me. I definitely like it more. So how do you move forward in a situation like this? I guess you just wait for them to be painted and stop getting ahead of yourself. That's probably the best plan. Mayuzumi Fuyuko off the record version. Why does she look so damn smug? Like, what did I do? Why is she staring at me like that? Either way, very cute, adorable outfit. I really like this lovey-dovey love seat. It's so tiny, but it's got like heart-shaped pillows on it. Great design. Another one to potentially look out for when it eventually drops in price, as they typically do. Entoma Sobin version. I can't believe we randomly got 2 figures of this character within like a month. And I can't believe I'm so ready to buy a figure of this character that I don't know anything about. I'm very glad though that both of these figures are very different, so there's no need to compare them. But this Alter one was a little strange to me until I saw the arts it was based on, and then I absolutely loved it. I'm very surprised they're committed to this like arachnid shadow blue smear thing from the art, but the color is gonna bring a lot to the figure, so I definitely approve of it. I kind of just love what she's wearing though, especially the leggings. This will probably be a figure I pick up at some point. So where are we all at on Asuna figures at this point? I ask this genuinely because I'm pretty fatigued at this point, but this flying Asuna figure is pretty nice. Mostly for the flowing hair strands and the wings, which kind of blend into the background of this photo, which is a little unfortunate. I do like that she's angry, a little determined, but I almost wish she was more so, right? I'm just not really feeling enough power behind this pose, I guess. It does look really well painted and shaded though, so, I mean, overall it's very good. Just wish it was tweaked a little bit. Alter's long hair Ray was painted, and you know, it looks good, but at this point I'm starting to get a little tired of all of these doll figures Ray keeps getting. But the fact that the doll is kind of like floating out of her hands a little bit is kind of neat. Now, for some reason, we're also getting a lot of like suspended in midair figures from Alter today, which is not really my cup of tea unless they like hide that fact with the base itself, but this is clearly not going to be doing that. You know, I gotta say, after unboxing the Eva Store Ray, there's something about this new version's face that really isn't impressing me, which is weird because they're both made by Alter, but it's just changed enough where I'm not really feeling that classic Eva style that the Millennium Illustration version had. I got nothing but praise for the plug suit and her hair though, like both of them were perfectly executed, right? Even little details like the heavy shading around her ankles just goes a long way to separate the good figures from the really great ones, you know? Man, they're really fucking with me though with this new Asuka figure. Like, I do not need another one after the Radio Eva version I just got, but the parka and the eye patch, like this looks so good, and it's the perfect match with the Rei figure that I literally just bought. I don't know why I'm like this though, like some characters I'll buy 20 figures for the character, and others I'm like hard capped at just 1. I don't know, but I'm gonna add it to the wish list either way. Oh shit, we finally got Ramelia painted. This is obviously my favorite announcement of the event, because her sister Flandre is like my front runner for figure of the year, and I'm expecting a pretty similar quality between these two figures. Can't wait to spend like 40,000 gosh darn yen on it, but it'll absolutely be worth it. Now, considering that these two figures share so many traits, I'm gonna kind of cop out here and say feel free to watch my review on her sister Flandre if you want a better understanding of the quality that Alter is pushing onto these figures. I am anxiously awaiting the official photos for this figure because this isn't even like the optimal lighting and it looks this good. I can't wait. Today is just full of surprises, huh? Official from Genshin Impact appear. That's maybe not how you say her name. Let me know how you do in the comments below. I thought this was just canceled straight up, but we're at the prototype phase at this point, and she's looking pretty great. Now, you know what's kind of rare for Alter? Effect pieces like this, electric sparks flying all around her and whatnot. You never see stuff like that from Alter. Her bird companion is also included. I think its name is Oz. I wouldn't have guessed that either. Alter's doing a lot with this sculpt, to the point where it doesn't even really look like an Alter figure to me, but that's fine. You know what? Congrats, Alter. You made me kind of care about Genshin figures again. I was trying to get out, but you're pulling me back in. I guess I'm just gonna shut up because it seems like Dusk from Arknights is also going to be coming with some nice effect pieces, like dark, smoky cloud trails perhaps. There's a similar thing going on with the back of her hair, which looks pretty damn incredible if you ask me. There's even this one like odd piece right here. It's kind of dripping off a little bit, but it looks so visually strange and out of place. I kind of like it, but I need to see how this all looks when it's done. Alright, you ready for some more Azure Lane? First up is the St. Louis Luxury Handle version, confirming once and for all, no car. Instead, stool, but let's be real, it wasn't gonna happen. Everybody loves this dress on her though, so I don't really feel like we're missing that much, and way more people will certainly be able to afford this figure now. Limalin Listless Lapin version, there's a couple of figures of this character at this point. I think one of them is made by AniGame, pretty similar to this design, but I don't really feel like comparing the two, starting some fights. But from the little research I've done, really just going to MFC, checking out the comments, apparently this sculpt is based off of like a Daki Makura design. I'll let you look that up. I don't really feel like doing that myself. But I do like how sleepy and out of it she looks on this scale. Very unique expression for a figure in my opinion. I don't think that'll be to everybody's taste though. I do like the carrot and the bunny-eared manju though. Those are pretty nice touches. Perseus Unfamiliar Duties version got painted. Poor little Manju down here has a big boo-boo on his head. I'm not really crazy about the way she specifically looks, but I think I saw today that she's going up for pre-order really soon. So we'll know more, and I guess we could talk about it more when that happens. I'm not including this in the video, but there was like 5 minutes of me trying to say Ulrich von Hutten Mayhem Maid version. I don't know why I struggled so hard, but she got a prototype. She looks pretty awesome, actually. Love her design, just like, honestly, the whole concept of this figure. Can't wait to see more. Pretty crazy outfit, too. Pretty, like, I don't know, is she even wearing anything? Just, like, straps. Guess we'll see. Taiho Sweet Time After School version. I never would have guessed that this was Taiho based off of this prototype, but I'm sure once the paint is there, it would have made more sense. Love this cat, though. Very cute, and the charm as well. Yeah, I don't know, very different for Taiho, but we'll see how it does. These Azure Lane figures are really putting me through the test trying to pronounce words I've like never heard before, but this is Algeri, I think, and this looks absolutely insane. The boat rigging behind her is absolutely massive, and she's also just wielding a two-handed mace on top of that. Easily gonna be like 50,000 yen, no doubt at all. Cheshire is absolutely adorable, and that dress sculpt is great too, along with those ribbons. Very flowy, very just like pleasant to look at. Pola and Zara symmetrical docking. I mean, yeah, what more would you need on a figure of these two? It's perfect. Absolutely brilliant. August von Parsival, I think, is the second Azure Lane figure we saw today that is coming with a couch, and I suppose that gives the company a good excuse to like flex their hair sculpting talents, right? Because draping hair over furniture or the character's arms or fingers in a convincing manner isn't easy to do at all, especially when there's a limit to how thin those hair strands can be, but when pulled off correctly, oh boy, it's pretty. Rice Shower from Uma Musume is now fully painted and is looking super precious as expected. I absolutely adore her design, so I knew I would like this figure, and it kind of looks perfect in my eyes. There is also the Tokai Teo figure, which now has a prototype, and this costume is so much cooler than her normal look, it's kind of unreal. Though it almost looks like she's wearing boots inside of boots. I kind of love it though, I'm not gonna lie. That and the scarf over here, like the tattered cloth, just like an instant win in terms of character design for me. I don't know, easy to please, I guess. Abigail Williams' summer design is, kind of absurd, like utterly so. Like shit, that is a lot of detail packed into one figure. It's rather chaotic, isn't it? My ignorance is kind of on full display here, but there is a lot to unpack, I think, you know? The grotesque tentacles, the demonic looking flowers, the cat's doing something, I don't know, maybe it's dying, I can't say for sure, but it's there. Yeah, most of this I can't really comprehend, but hey, that's kind of neat for a figure. Now, I think Aniplex made a similar figure for Abigail, but it was much more like happy and bubbly and cutesy, so Alter going with this design is pretty sick if you ask me. Altria Pendragon and Joan of Arc Alter figures, interesting choice for poses on these two, but we already have kind of like quintessential figures for both of these characters, both made by Alter, so I'm not really upset at this outcome. Can't say I'm super interested in either of them, but I bet they'll be very pretty considering the focus on their dresses, right? Castor Merlin prototype turned out beautifully, but show me this figure from the back. I want to see the hair sculpt so bad, because you know it's going to be stunning based on what we can see of it from the front. I just love curly hair strands like this. It looks so good. Last up is two Altair figures, two that we have talked about in the past, quite a while ago actually. Now fully painted, we have the Berserker Arjuna and Lancer Karna. You know, Alter might not make that many male figures, but when they do, they don't really miss, you know? And I'm sure somebody's gonna link me to a time where they did miss, but I would appreciate it if you didn't do that. Thanks. Now, I believe the last time we saw these two, which was maybe like a year ago, I was more impressed with Karna, which makes sense, right? That huge flame cloak is just really eye-catching, right? Especially as it trails off over here, like very far off from the center. It's kind of unfortunate that you need like an entire stand just for this one singular part, but considering the cloak has its own huge metal rod in the back, it's a small sacrifice to make. It's reassuring though that Alter is handling this figure just because like a lesser company would not have brought these flames to life in the same fashion. You know what I mean? Like these look excellent. Arjuna on the other hand maybe doesn't have the same impact at a first glance, but you look a little bit closer, it still looks pretty spectacular. I especially really like the cannons behind his back. I'm not exactly sure what they're supposed to be called, but the gradation inside of them, the gold to like this really dark color, maybe even just like straight up black, looks so good. Like actually insane, the paint job that are in these weapons. All these pretty blue acrylic orbs too on the character, and I'm not even sure how he's levitating this orb in his hand. I guess it's attached to like the little cape, but that's a pretty small surface area, right? This has to be like a really light piece of plastic. This figure is just extremely pleasing to look at. You know, Fate fans are eating pretty dang good at this event. But in turn, you're probably eating pretty bad in real life because holy shit, these are gonna cost some money. But you know what? That's fine. You gotta make the sacrifice, right? But that's gonna do it for our coverage for Megahobby Expo. You know, one of these days, I should really make a video just summarizing all of the figures that I specifically plan to pick up, or at least have interest in. I feel like it gets kind of lost in these videos because I talk about so many figures. But we'll save that for a rainy day, perhaps, if anybody's interested in that kind of topic. But regardless, thanks for sticking around to the end. Hopefully you found something in this video to look forward to, and if not, I appreciate you either way. One more thing, actually, we are getting very close to hitting 10K subs. I think I'm like 500, 400 away, something like that. So if you're not subscribed yet, now would be the best time to do so. Eventually, we will hit that sub goal regardless, I'm sure, unless things go catastrophically wrong. But, you know, be part of it, right? Either way, thanks for watching, take care, and I'll see you later. Bye.